wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq. I mean, of Ukraine.
Wars have been fought over oil. In a short matter of time, they will be fought over war.
You done it. 28? 29? I just hopeful 20, for 30 or
is it 28?
I think it's 28. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Let me just check with
that's
I think so. Listen, I'm gonna go and say it's 28. Yeah. It's 28.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, 28.
ManCon 28. We're very well organized, as anyone can tell.
The most organized. The most.
Do you like my bulldog, by the way? There's a little guy.
It's a very cute bulldog.
Yeah, just hanging out.
Is that baby dog?
Yeah, that's baby dog. I'm nice. Really hoping. I heard that Kamala is going to pick the VP today, and still holding out hope for baby dog. She hasn't done that yet, right?
Well, I don't think anything has been signed officially yet.
Okay, no. All right, that's good. So all right, that's what I was worried about. Yeah, as long as there's still room, I think baby dog really has a shot.
I hope so. People were afraid of having two women on the ticket, but it's just about having the right
powerful.
Women
She's
on the ticket.
Painted. Listen, a lot of people don't know that. Do you know this? Jim Justice commissioned a painting of baby dog in the West Virginia State House.
Amen. Roll Tide.
She is part of a painting of other like West Virginia like notables in the State House.
Lesser notables.
Notables, obviously, yes. But she is literally. It's actually kind of incredible that.
Oh, good.
Yeah. She's received such acclaim.
Listen, if you're going to be an insane person, that happens to be a governor of a country, at the very least have right.
Make it fun.
Yeah. Speaking of making fun.
Yeah. Well, first of all, easy. I am Lucid Fox on all the places. Twitch, Twitter. All the places.
Also. Yeah. All the places.
All of them. So.
And speaking of fun.
Yeah.
Brand new fun. I am no longer Marcus of Left Leg Vets.
Huh. Wait.
Yeah.
You a body double?
I am now.
Oh, God.
Marcus.
Who have I been talking to?
From Struggle 4. Now, we've started a new media group.
Yeah.
Struggle 4. So, Marcus from Struggle 4. Same thing. It's all, just some new colors and a new name. And
I respect this. I love it.
I'm still Marcus. Okay. Here we go.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was going to be worried.
Made it.
Good. I love that. Yeah. People get to find this out after, we'll most likely upload this after you do the whole thing tomorrow. So
well, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
I'm going to leak it to Axios. I'm sorry, Marcus. I don't know how to tell you.
Which I do enjoy. Okay, well, actually, now we can actually get into it.
Yeah.
Tim Walz, balls to the walls.
Tim Walz, listen, I feel good having been a true believer. As we spoke last week, I was, I've been on board for the walls for quite a bit. As soon as realistically, as soon as I knew that they were kind of taking him seriously, I was like, this guy would be he's just got a good profile. And I love Bashir's profile as well. Obviously, I think he was my number one choice until I think the Dem ticket needs an anchor like that speaks to regular, everyday, folks, working class, out there just kind of doing their thing. Like this guy, Walz has been on picket lines. He's a teacher. The teachers unions love him. He's got a lot. Obviously, less so in these days. Maybe if this was back in like the 60s or the 70s, his military service, obviously. He's got a lot of things that, and you know, his House record is kind of crazy as far as how he was able to hold on in that district during some pretty contentious times in the Obama administration. You know, like I think he outran Obama by double digits in 2012 in that same district. Yeah. Like you know, he's got the potential.
And that's where they Democrats lost a lot of seats in Minnesota. Like in that,
sure did. They bled out in 2010, 2012. So he survived all of that.
You know, as they whittled it down, and I mean, first, I think out of the big group that they're looking at, just out of like actual, does this person do something? Yeah. You know, I think we had like Gretchen Whitmer and J.B. Pritzker that were kind of just like not really gonna get a look.
No. I think they're too integral to their respective areas, you know?
Well, yeah, not only integral to, but like, honestly, just, you know, Gretchen Whitmer being a woman, I think kept her out of, you know, like if Gretchen, and like, it's kind of, if Gretchen Whitmer was a white man, you know, she would have been in that list, just like all the other DEI white men candidates that, you know, got to look.
And if you're JB Pritzker, why take a position of lesser power? I mean, he is, he is the great Khan of the Midwest, and one day he will subsume all those states contained within. So
soon.
Why be VP when you can be a god? Yeah. You know,
but that's where, you know, and I think Pritzker just has, I mean, like with him, you know, and how his look, because there's a lot of people who come out of Illinois with a very similar, like, I guess, aura as Tim Walz. Yeah, Pritzker has a very much a Chicago feel toward, you know. He's a billionaire. He wears nice suits, you know, slicked over hair. You know, he's more of a Chicago guy. So like the idea of having him being a Midwesterner that, you know, going around doesn't really hit so much. Like you said, Beshear, I think Beshear would have been doing like kind of like the most damage as someone that could have like really driven up the numbers in rural areas. I think Tim Walz still can do it. I don't, you know, it's just something like, I just got an opinion where like, I think Beshear is able to play a little bit more. Yeah. And it is because of some of the things that are like progressives are really excited about that Tim Walz has done. The fact that Beshear's not done any of it, it comes and makes him this blank slate that can kind of go around without having too many attacks.
A little more transmutable to like, you know, undecided rural people and everything like that. But again, like I said, I think I honestly,
Tim Walz's, and this is where it's like Tim Walz's biggest issue is the cowardice of other Dems.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that they will hold him back more than anything. I think yes. I think he knows how to defend his record. I mean, I caught some of the interview with him and Ezra Klein, and he's very good at diffusing these things. He's like, what are you going to do to me? Are you going to tell them that I fed kids? Okay, great. He's like, once you see these people for what they are the emperor without clothes, right? Like they are unable to form like real attacks against substantive like change and you know, kind of meeting people where they are. Like if you're saying, hey, I'm making sure kids don't go hungry, realistically, if your argument's only like, well, what about the taxpayers? Then you're a monster. You know? Yeah. And that's so easy to work against.
This is where getting, you know, like Joe Scarborough's on board, you know, and like that type of like, well, he does sure like spending government money, you know. They like, I think there's a lot of these like conservatives that, you know, were really hoping for Josh Shapiro. To give them the nod of like, oh, you know, establishment Dem, here we come.
But absolutely, I think, like I said, I think Republicans kind of wanted Shapiro a little bit. I saw a lot of signals from the Hill, Axios, all complaining about it on like Thursday or Friday about like, well, looks like Shapiro's the favorite, you know, type of thing heading into the weekend. And it's like, from what, like, who are your sources? Where are you getting all this from? Like, why why is CNN not going in on this like line of discussion as well? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just very curious as to why you all want this to happen so badly.
Well, that's, I mean, like, it is kind of funny too, because like in some of the talking head show, it was like the conservative on the panel would always bring up the bad things about Shapiro that is just like, oh, hey, somebody's saying it, but it is the person who's thinking like, oh, we're going to start building in these attacks already. Yeah. Because I mean, most of the people, especially like in the establishment sphere, talking heads, MSNBC, CNN, Shapiro, Chris Christie was in the bag for Shapiro, and there, Shapiro was the only VP candidate to have a national movement. And you talk about educators, teachers, unions, just incredible, also like honestly. Organizing groups around, Palestine and like all these, like dozens and dozens of state organizations, what I'm saying? Pennsylvania Teachers for Good Things, not again against bad things, what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. Dozens and dozens writing the letter saying anyone but Shapiro. Yeah. Like choosing him, I don't know why they even kept it going on for so long.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. And I think I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that are interesting about that. I think him being like, just being extraordinarily bad, that a woman that was stabbed 20 times, he calls it a suicide, like just so many like readily available hit pieces against this guy. Yeah. But at the same time, I think it's pretty simple. All right. I think that from what we can get, sources are saying he was just a little too big for his britches, and may have tried to overshadow Kamala. Well,
I mean, there was Shapiro for that's where it's like the mayor of Philadelphia I think he was a little too full. Like, maybe, and he said he was unaware of that. So maybe the mayor just kind of knifed him a little bit with that. Yeah. Kind of crazy. And I think, honestly, hey, listen, between you and me, I know nobody will ever say it, but I think he came into that last interview with that white man Obama shit. And Kamala was just like, ew, gross. Stop doing that. I think he started talking normally and it was like, wait a minute.
Wait, hold up. Listen, I told my chat today, right, that like his dog is named Bo, B-O?
No.
His dog is named Bo, just like Obama's dog Bo, that he had at the beginning of the first the first term that he served that eventually passed away a few years ago.
Oh my God.
And who knows? People name dogs the same thing all the time, Marcus. Sure. It is also just kind of weird for somebody that's crafted his entire public persona like around Obama down to his cadence to also... Oh man, he's just a very weird guy,
Shapiro's right now, he's calling Justin Trudeau to like, listen, I got some questions. All right, apparently I didn't go far enough. I need some
give me your tips, all right?
I need some skincare tips.
Yeah.
No, that's where it's like, I can't wait for him to just Josh Shapiro's next speech, and he's just going to be like speaking normally, but
I do think it's very funny towards his potential like future ideation. This is a big loss for any of his like ambitions.
And I mean that's where like the Politico article talk about how like the interview with him didn't really go, and that's where it's like I would love, because this is where it's like these type of vetting things. I honestly would love to actually be able to see the questions they ask him, right? Because these are, these aren't like, what do you think of higher education? No, like they are legitimately asking him
5 favorite ice creams.
Asking him like real vetting questions, and he has a not great history, on a lot of different things, and like where, the covering for sexual assault in his office, like comparing protesters to KKK, the charter schools, that, what I'm saying?
Palestinians, praise,
unable to sue for peace,
savages, that's what I think he said.
It was, and like, who knows? This is where this whole Veep stakes thing is just like getting people's name out there. It allows people to kind of like stump for themselves.
It was very smart, honestly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Making this all public, making it so that people were aware of these. Because, I mean,
what is the Democratic Party doing now? Okay, this is what I really am confused about.
They want to win things.
Like, they're not doing the obvious worst thing ever. And I just...
And also... They have the Bene Gesserit unchained now, okay? Like Nancy Pelosi no longer held back by the Speaker of the House position. She's able to work behind the scenes in the shadows. In just 15 days, Marcus, she delivered us an entire presidential ticket. Not just Kamala Harris, but also Tim Walz.
That's where, like, honestly, I think... I know that there's like a lot of people, there's a lot of like the Pelosi power, but like there's like, I mean, this is where too that like there are just ways the world was heading.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Absolutely. She just got a finger on the pulse, man. She's like, it's like in stocks, right? If somebody says they're doing like, hey, this, stock is going to hit. That's already too late to know about it, because they're just kind of the insiders that are aware of it. Yeah. Because once she said last Wednesday, I believe it was, like, oh, I'm for Tim Walz. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I know where this wind is going at that point. I was already on board, but now you get an idea of where these like insider operatives are, how they would like to see this progress, and what they think is best for the party. And she's never been shy about like telling people that, and that's continued. Like the funniest thing, I'm sorry, was her yesterday. They interviewed her on, I want to say, Meet the Press.
Yeah.
And they were like, have you talked to Joe Biden lately? She's like, no. How's your relationship with him? You'll have to ask him. God.
Brandon is a big mad.
She's so vicious.
Like, and that's, this is where, if not, like when Biden got COVID, and like he had to stop, like it's like we're at the point where it's like his handlers couldn't keep him on the go, right? They couldn't hide him. They could, he was laid up in bed, and Pelosi just kept shoving the polling data until he could barely breathe. And like, okay, let him go. But no, and that's where it is hilarious. And honestly too, where I really like, this is just one of my greatest hopes is not that, this is going to make the world so much better, or, the Democrats will then institute socialism or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But the bigger landslide victory for the Democrats, like, I just hope Biden knows.
Yeah.
None of this would have happened with him.
Yes.
No, everything was in absolute question until he went away, and literally tens of millions of dollars come just throwing out
today, another landmark fundraising day. I'm sorry, none of that.
Volunteers, there's more volunteers that were registered in a week than the entire rest of the campaign season. It's like Joe Biden was a giant fucking boulder that when finally moved away, the river, the river that brings life to the valley is allowed to flow again. Yeah. And it is a weird thing that, I mean, really, I'm just shocked at that the Democratic Party is able to do something that's popular, and continue that popularity for going on 3 weeks now. Yeah. What
does this mean for the Dems of the future? You know what I mean? Have they accurately assessed the situation and said to themselves, this is not just against Trump. Because I mean, this is what I've been saying for, the past year. You have to look at this and say, this isn't just about Trump. This is about what does our voter base makeup look like in the next couple of decades? Because this is a pivotal election to figure out where your Gen Z is going to be at, what their voting is going to look like. Like that's a lot of the polls that are being passed around right now is what's the 18 to 29 demographic look like, and a lot of worry about how that might, function.
Well, so we're going to get a little bit more into the 18 to 29 demographic a little bit later. But no, I think what also is, and this is where, as the thing, hit every fucking week is how does Kamala Harris, if she does, how does she effectively message to people who are anti-genocide, which is not just young people. It's not just Arabs and Muslim, Americans. Yeah. There are people who really care. And that's where the vote in November may not be up for play, necessarily.
Yes.
But the build up and the protest up to, that election day, the sooner they are able to, and that's what's this is where it's on Genocide Joe.
Yes, and that's,
it seems like the rest of the party.
I think I said this last week too, right? Like it is very much to her benefit that right now that is on Joe Biden, but come January, no longer. If she ends up winning, and that is going to be a big discussion that she's going to have to feel, that Tim Walz is going to have to feel as well. He's one of those people that said we need to listen to these uncommitted folks. They have something to say, we do need to talk to them, and that wowed a lot of progressives.
This is where, and we're really too of they need to get Joe Biden to stop. This is whatever the pressure that they can, they need to use that because at this point, that's the only anchor, right? Which it's genocide. It should be an anchor, but that's the last anchor that would drag the Democrats down.
Yeah.
And I think we'll get our first shot at when especially now now that they've got the ticket planned out and the DNC in a few weeks, which will be on the ground doing coverage, but we'll be able to see, kind of what the response, and especially too with the a lot of the Palestinian population in Chicago, close enough to Michigan. So, we'll see what people's response is, what the, protests look like, what the demands are from the protests, and if there is any party response or any type of signal from, Harris or Walz as to them actually trying to give something real when there's still Biden in office, which this is going to be the toughest thing. How do they separate from what Biden is doing right now?
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's going to be and is that not I don't know. I feel like I might not be, I might be off on this, but I feel like the regular voter just likes what or is at least willing to accept for now, under the auspices of unity or whatever it may be, the lip service that Kamala, hey, Palestinians are people, guys. All right. This can't keep going on. Tim Walz in the last couple, I think it was on a program sometime this weekend, or it might have been today. I don't know. I didn't look at the actual timestamp. But he's talking about hey, it is an outrage what's happening over there right now, and that we're a party to it, these are the things
and I hope this is where too. I really hope where Nancy's response to Netanyahu.
Yeah,
it's you got to see that as an open door.
Yeah,
right. Because because that's where Nancy's bully pulpit is pretty powerful. She says things and people go along with it.
Yeah.
If there's a policy position and Nancy goes on a few Sunday shows and says, this is the right thing for the Democratic Party, there's a whole lot of people who are just going to go along with it because they trust her. You know, when she said, "How are you going to pay for it for Medicare for all?" Literally everybody else fucking started saying that shit.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing that's crazy is she came into the House saying Medicare for all like 100 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's where, you know, she I think she gave a lot of leeway that it didn't get any big, you know, no one called her anti-Semitic. No one said that she was, you know, backstabbing Israel or any, you know, so it's like the option is there. And really, like, you just have to actually show people what's happening.
Yes.
And then like everything's good. You know, anytime why would you do this? Well, because they are continuing to bomb hospitals and not let food aid. Bring up John McCain's wife, maybe to talk about how her work for the UN is showing that there's been, you know,
more people.
Brink of famine for months.
Wikipedia article editors, even over the past day or so, have finally settled on the fact that it is a genocide and are labeling it as such. You know, it's just like, more and more dominoes are falling in the position of people just kind of realize what this is and what Netanyahu is doing. And so what's your plan? You know, like
this is where people actually like would not help their friend do bad things.
Yeah.
You know, this argument of they're our ally. So we have to. Well, no, if my friend is hurting people, I'm not going to just hand over a gun and more bullets, you know, just because that's my friend. You have to do something that doesn't allow innocent people to get murdered.
Yeah. Also, if, you know, some of the discussions and publications within the area are to be believed, Netanyahu might not have much road left anyways. Not, you know, because we're going to stop funding him or anything like that. But, you know, seemingly the Hamas counterinsurgency is adapting. They are continuing to like outwit the IDF, and it is just not going the way I think that he was hoping that this would end up going. It turns out, even though you flatten like regular civilians, like homes and hospitals and everything else, like, you just still can't stop, like, you know, a counterinsurgency from a guerrilla force. Because
I mean, this is where, and that's where, like, it's kind of this thing where it's like I don't ever really want to focus on it up front, but it has to be recognized on the back end. You know, indiscriminately murdering people is wrong because it's wrong. You know, like the blowback, you know, it is, you know, at least like hearing, you're just going to create more Hamas if you do it, you know, doing that up front is like, you know, it's like, it feels weird, but it's like when it's on the other end of it, like you have to say like, this is what people respond to, right?
Yes, and absolutely.
I do, you know, I remember seeing like this video like months ago now, and he's a teenager and he's just yelling about his whole family was killed. Yeah. And like, it wasn't, he was enraged to the truest sense of the word in a way that I hope I am never close to feeling, because what was taken away from him. Yeah. Well, you know, and this is why this will not work, is because people will not accept occupation. They will not accept oppression. We are human and we will fight back. And
there's so many lessons in this, where, you know, through
like,
history,
especially too, when you look at the IDF and like the way that they tactically perform, it is so pompous. It's so, you know, it is so like they think so highly of themselves that they are really unaware. You know, they don't respect their enemy whatsoever, and because of it, they consistently get caught off guard or not paying attention. You know, and this, you know, it's like, it's not gonna, you know, this is that's where, but and how does this
listen,
change happen too?
Not to take away from your moment, but the best Shapiro tweet that I saw this morning was IDF soldier underestimates opposition, and incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. No, and that's where, I mean, now, and who knows, we've been recording for, 30 minutes. So, who knows what's happened in the world. But, Israel had, assassinated the top Hamas political official while he was doing a visit for the new president of Iran, and it was blown up in Tehran. Israel did a strike in Lebanon, and this is where the rocket that had hit in the Golan Heights, which is Syria territory occupied by Israel.
Yeah,
they were responding to that. Hezbollah had completely denies even shooting a rocket, right?
Yes.
So this whole thing is under, should be suspect, but Israel just sends a drone strike into Lebanon. Then they assassinate the Palestinian leader in Tehran. And now people, we're just waiting for whatever response, Iran will have. And this is, this is where this is an untenable situation. We can, this cannot continue. There's a genocide, all of these escalations that Israel continues to do. And Joe, this is on Biden, because the idea of this going up to Kamala Harris having to deal with it is just insane to me.
Yeah. 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 Really. I don't know. I think about this continuing on, through the rest of the year into the, I just don't know how this continues to be tenable, especially now that Israel has started to involve other state actors and attempted to, and may very well provoke a response from them, if intelligence and whispers are to be believed, right? I don't know, obviously, I would hope that Iran does not, continue to fuel the fire of Netanyahu. But at the same time, you got a brand new president, and he's at a kind of strike point, right? Is he going to show? Is he going to continue to show that Iran is not this hostile actor, that people suspect them to be? But and in that show some sort of perceived weakness because they just allow Shin Bet and Israel to infiltrate their borders and come in and strike their main city? Or is he going to, do what if we were to do would be viewed as justified and strike them back, with a larger salvo, draw some blood in Tel Aviv, what, and is that, are the Matt Millers of the world, are the Jack Kirby's going to say, well, they didn't have the right to do that,
which that's literally, the Miller was, unwilling.
Yeah.
Right. To admit hey, does Iran have the right to defend themselves? Well, aside from the question, aside from the justification, it wouldn't be helpful. Right. Because by all intents and purposes, it would be a justified response.
Absolutely.
And that's just known, it's just everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is I have no clue as to what the calculation is, and this where it's this president was that was elected was oh, hey, he's a little bit more of the moderate out of the two choices. And I gotta tell you, if I'm a moderate, if I'm a moderate and some dude gets assassinated at my fucking goddamn inauguration, I may be considering, my moderation stance, in almost any and all senses. And so And that's the thing too, of even like, to say like how much control does like the president of Iran even have over like the IRGC generals and deal with the Ayatollah and all that type of shit, so
but we're gonna find out type of thing,
I mean, yeah, and that's where with Israel being this rogue state, how long do we just kind of wait every few days, few weeks, while they continue on indiscriminately killing Palestinians? And then every once in a while we get to live in fear of like the World War III starting because of the United States military.
Yes.
Because there's that line of what do they do without getting the United States involved? And, if that happens, then like who else gets involved? And when, and Joe Biden could make a call and end all of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just immediately. Like, I mean, not within a couple of hours, but within a week, like this could be settled. This has been settled by other presidents. Like that have just been able to say, hey, listen. I don't want to hear from Joe Biden anymore how upset he is or how he told Netanyahu on a phone call that like, well, hey, pal, you're on thin ice. Like, obviously not, because we are still committed to this project of genocide. And we are still committed to allowing this rogue state to just wander around aimlessly, recklessly. Like this is where I wonder specifically, because when you talk about like how much sway does the IRGC have, how much sway does the Ayatollah have? Like, conversely, I was led to believe, before I was born, the CIA and the intelligence agency and the military definitely had more of a thumb on the scale. Because can you imagine? Like, I can't imagine that the intelligence apparatus, as it stands right now, wants this to continue. I don't see any benefit whatsoever for them to continue to wander around to destabilize this region. Like this benefits absolutely no one except for Benjamin Netanyahu.
Which I think was Jake Sullivan, one of the national security advisors, that it was the end of September.
Yeah.
And he had made some comment about how like the Middle East has never been quieter and just happy with the, the way things are going and stuff like that. And this was like, there's no going back now.
Yeah.
There's just like whatever was, it's not going to be again. You're not going to be able to get, these other states to be, once it stops, like, like whatever status quo was, like, it's just not going to be able to, it's not going to be able to last. And so, I just, I just, for every Palestinian, just wish that they would understand. And it's where it's like the pressure continues, and even like, where now it's pressuring Tim Walz and Kamala Harris and anyone in the campaign. And, because, and that's where I would say, Tim Walz is where it's like hoping that there is some type of like going back to the Obama foreign policy, which is something I never wanted to say. But at this point, that's looking like the best bet. And
but I mean, that's, like, I don't want to say, we had a good or anything like that, but at least like we didn't have a president that was hostile towards Cuba relations. We didn't have a president that was hostile towards North Korean relations. Like, it's just, it's such like Biden is such a leader out of time when it's compared to anyone else on the foreign stage, like it's kind of fucking disgusting actually how this guy operates on a global scale.
And it's Biden, not Trump. Like it is Biden, not Trump, that really like solidified the United States isn't the one, can no longer be the world hegemon, because like regardless if there aren't major blocks, which now there just are, right?
Yes.
There are, we live in a multipolar world now We are not, and we are only the economic hegemon on power or on paper, and partly because of like us, holding on to the dollars,
because
currency.
Things trade in dollars. But again, like you only get that for so long. I mean, if you saw the piece that came out last week, speaking about how many countries we sanction, right? And talking about like to what level we're sanctioning all of these countries, like you can really like these countries just start to go elsewhere. Like this is why Belt and Road is so attractive, right? Because when we go and we say, well, you can't take any more IMF loans, you can't do this, that's great. A lot of people don't have to play in that pool anymore.
Yeah.
Like if you continue to sanction, I mean, we've been sanctioning Cuba for over 60 years, like these places just start reverting to other trade paths. I mean, this is what existed pre-fall of the Soviet Union, was a separate support system being provided by the Soviet Union towards other actors around the world that were unable to really, participate in the capitalist model. And so when we talk about like China now, that is filling a lot of those same voids with things like Belt and Road, like we start to see that like the US's grasp weakens as it tightens with sanctions. Like our sanction apparatus is not a functional one, because what we hope to get is some sort of, and I'm leading into our next topic here, what we hope to get is some sort of return on investment when we do sanctions, right? Like Trump famously, tightening sanctions on Nicolas Maduro, making things absolutely worse. And his national security apparatus did this because they wanted to force Maduro out and have Juan Guaido like step in, right? But instead, what they've done is they've made Venezuela dig in more than ever. Maduro is still president after, 2 elections. He is not going to relinquish that power. And the only thing that's happened is the people of Venezuela has suffered, right?
Yeah. And
are now coming across the border of something that, Trump complains about, when realistically, he is one of the architects of that occurring.
Well, there are reports like between 6 and 8 million Venezuelans have left since the Trump sanctions.
Yes.
So these sanctions don't do what people think they're going to do. And then with this recent election, within instantly you got these like exit polls from Western organizations.
Finally, Edison Research, my favorite touchstone for Venezuelan politics. Yes, of course.
And they're saying, which exit polling is illegal in Venezuela. It's like something I learned recently. I wonder why.
But the people that would talk to us, they were very positive about the opposition.
Hated
interesting.
Maduro. It said it in perfect English too.
Yeah. So please liberate my country, sir. Yeah.
Yes. He said, please, President Biden, help me.
Yeah.
My country yearns for freedom. No. And that thing is like, hi, I'm a podcaster. Me and no one else that does what I do knows anything about what actually happened in Venezuela. I can say this though. If you are going to say an election was done incorrectly, using institutions in your country and then just pressuring other countries to accept your choice, and then just declaring that the choice that that you
for
want
the second time, by the way,
for the second time, this is not a go. This is not the way to go about. And at this point now.
Did that work for like Chiang Kai-shek? You know what I mean? Where we just like continued to declare him, it's like,
is there an island off the coast of Venezuela they can kind of sit and just kind of bake for a minute, Trust me, we'll make our return. Just as soon as these chips are done being made. But no, and that's where Lula, President Lula from Brazil, he's been, kind of calling back and forth.
I think he's trying to walk the road of hey, these are legitimate elections, but I would like to, see proof. He's in the middle kind of on it, just trying to help, I guess, Maduro. Because again, like, I agree with you. Like, we're just, this is a humble podcast, but at the same time, like, I'm sorry, man, but everything about this is illegitimate. We've had our thumb on the scale in Venezuela for decades, okay? We did it with the Chavez administration. We're doing it with the Maduro administration. So if you want to say these are illegitimate elections, they have been for decades, ever since we started sanctioning Hugo Chavez all those years ago, okay? They have been illegitimate because we've been interfering. All right? So if you want this to be a legitimate election, pull back the sanctions immediately. We no longer sanction this country, and let's see what happens. And let's see what the people choose then.
I mean, and this is where, like, national sanctions, right? It should, like, and especially too when you talk about, like, the free market, you should not be, like, if you don't want to deal with a country, then you don't deal with the country. Saying if anybody deals with the country, you then can no longer deal with the United States. That is fucked, like, that's just a bad thing to do, especially when there is no moral ground as to why we sanction or do anything. You know what I'm saying? We're selling all of the weapons, or not all, but like weapons to Israel, which they're, under a genocide investigation of the ICC, about to have a really good arrest warrant request for their damn leader. Saudi Arabia, the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, not necessarily known for their democratic norms, the actual leading purchaser. We give a lot of weapons out to Israel.
Absolutely.
Saudi Arabia, they pay, what I'm saying? So these idea of like sanctions or rule of law, blah, blah, blah. It's all horseshit. No one actually cares. There's no moral choices being made, so stop ruining other people's countries at the very least. That's like the thing. Just the very least, stop ruining other countries. We're seeing the blowback
of that. Like, we want to talk about this migrant, surge that we've seen at the border. These people trying to come in. Well, guess where they're coming from? Guess what? That is a product of, and is U.S. intervention. Like, we are the architect of this surge. They don't just want to come up here because, this is a very different surge from the idea of like 10, 15 years from now, when we start to see like massive like global heating. We start to see climate refugees. This is a surge based on how we continue to affect like certain countries, what we have done in Venezuela, what we have done in Honduras, we are forcing these people down a path that is untenable in their countries, and so they have to leave and they have to travel thousands of miles, for something perceivably better, because we're starving these people. We're ruining their futures.
And like what you talk about too is like, with Venezuela and like so many countries, like the sanctions on Iraq that like legitimately led to like 1 million people dying. Iran decades ago, the same thing. Like a lot of these countries don't like the United States, and it ain't because of our freedom. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are reasons to the antagonisms. You know what I'm saying? These are just responses to what the government is doing.
Yes.
And this whole thing is part of it. This idea of like, oh, hey, they had an election I don't like, so we're going to call it into question. When, Narendra Modi, fresh off of his election after he's like kills opposition leaders, doing fucking ethnic cleansing of Muslim populations, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And he gets the red carpet rolled out for him.
Absolutely,
like, this is absurd,
We have again, you're either on the team or you're not. And if you're not, then
Pakistan with Imran Khan and like literally just clapping along as like they're purging his whole party, which is the most popular. Like, oh, hey, Pakistani people spoke. And it's like, as long as it's whatever they want. Very
democratic. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they loved it. They were singing "God Bless America" to the
relationship
polls.
with the Saudis. It's just like, really? Are we? We believe in democracy. Well, except sometimes, because the UAE does buy a lot of weapons from us, so that's important. They can do whatever they want, all right? Yeah. They seem to be very happy with their monarchy. But otherwise, we love democracy in the Middle East, and we will say it any time.
Yeah. Well, there's just one democratic state in the Middle East that needs support at all costs.
Yes.
Even in their ethnic cleansing and apartheid missions. But also, we also love non-democracies, and it's fine. It's fine.
So long as they're, useful to us in their aims. Yeah. Iran used to carry that banner. They, at one point, they were extremely useful to us in the world,
Cuba too?
There was a lot of, we loved Batista. Very nice guy. Not the rest of them. Some of you younger folks. No. It was, and it is, man, the craziest thing is always regimes that we support and then people that leave never to be seen again,
Yeah.
Just off into nowhere, time to retire to Florida, just like everybody else.
Yeah, which side note, I she'd say that the former prime minister of Bangladesh,
I was going to say, Bangladesh
resigned, is looking.
Apparently, there's nowhere to Florida, baby.
There's requests.
Great place to retire.
She's looking to come to the U.S.
If your regime has been backed at any point by our intelligence operations, well, do I have a place for you in Key West?
Yeah. Just come on over here, guy. The water's fine.
Yeah.
Oh man. Speaking of Key West,
I'm listening. Speaking of Florida, home of Mar-a-Lago. Man,
Trump and the new campaign direction.
Wow. It's so interesting,
Aidan
man. Here's the thing. We are going to see so much weird shit. I've already seen it in the past 12 hours. We're going to see so much weird shit about Tim Walz that is going to be these people aren't normal. Okay.
No.
I've seen his head on a tampon and they're like tampon Walz. And it's like, hey guys.
Well,
okay.
Did you
do it? Do it. Just it worked in 2022. So good. Do it again. Be weird and transphobic.
Did you see the chicken mala?
Yeah.
Chicken mala?
Do that, guys.
Was that the best you got?
Yeah.
Chicken mala.
Hold up. I have to show you this. This is incredible. I don't know who their stage designers are, but this is look at this. Yeah. Because what they want to do, you can't see this picture if you're listening or watching. Basically, it's JD Vance with a crowd of people in front of a giant sign that says Kamala.
Chaos.
And it's supposed to say Kamala Chaos. But whoever designed the visuals here did not think to themselves, oh, of course people are going to be standing in front of that. Maybe we should raise it up. Maybe we should do something different. And it's literally in the font of the Kamala Harris campaign. Incredible.
Looks perfect. Looks perfect.
Thank you for speaking at the Kamala event, sir. I don't know what they're thinking. And so when Trump chooses JD Vance and now goes on the fucking Aidan Ross stream on Kick, both of these decisions are, I guess, made by his stupid kids.
That's
what he's going to start doing.
It's this weird place that I'm in because while you're right, and obviously these are stupid dipshit decisions by a campaign. This is also the only place they have to go, right? Donald Trump, for anybody who votes regularly, he's known.
Yeah.
There's no, you know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of people who vote regularly who are itching for the Democrats to just say one sentence, that whether they're an independent or, whatever, there's a whole lot of people who are just waiting for the Democratic Party to say the right sentence and okay, good enough. Right. And I think, switching to Kamala Harris, even getting Tim Walz as a VP pick, it's checking the boxes for a lot of people where normal humans who can finish sentences good enough, right? So there's a lot of Americans that are there. But as far as regular voters, Trump's tapped out. Either they're MAGA or they're not. And there's only really one place to fucking go, and that's Kick and these freak like streamers.
Okay.
Because where else, like, name another population in the United States who could be convinced to vote for these freaks.
Yeah.
I'm all ears. Well, but I think this is the only place they got to go, and good luck, because the content's going to be good.
First of all, I'd say I'd be a lot more terrified if any of these 12-year-olds could vote, you know? Like, that'd be one thing. Like, his whole audience is children. But second of all, Kick also just has, like, insane view botting, right? So, like, a lot of the people that were watching this stream weren't even around. It's just like they're inflating their numbers to look good against something like Twitch. Because again, like, you can't tell me that somebody like Hassan gets 100K covering the attempted assassination of Trump, but Aidan Ross gets like 400 plus. Like, I'm sorry, that dog don't hunt on a website that is real. Much more SEO optimized, that is much more popular within the streaming realm. Like, there's no fucking way. No, that's not how that works.
Elon gets every one of those likes, and then they got every one of those views for Kick. Yeah. And I mean, this is like, it's complete dog shit. It's asinine. They don't have anywhere else to go, though. No. They just, like, they really don't have anywhere else to go.
Baron, what do you want to do, buddy?
Yeah, right? Hey, Baron, what are you into?
Things aren't looking great for the old man's campaign. What do you normally watch?
Get over here, Benton. Get over here. What are you looking at on your phone there? Huh?
Apparently, Baron is a big Aidan Ross fan, which, you know, this kid's gonna suck. You know,
it's what I'm saying though, is that, like, I wish I could think. You know, I wish I believed that American, like, teenagers, you know, young people over the age of 14, right? I really wish that they all were smart enough to know this guy's a dipshit, but I don't think it's true. And the thing is, where it's just like, it's especially too, it's like with the switch and also having a VP candidate that doesn't automatically, you know, ruin, you know, a lot of, like, the progressives that give a shit about Palestine. Yeah. I mean, it is really hard for me to think of how the Democrats can mess this up, right?
Well, like we said before, right?
Spend the money to do the campaigns and keep doing it. Like, it should be impossible to lose this one.
Their challenge is be normal. All right? As long as they can do that, pretty cut and dry. Because honestly, Trump is a known quantity, right? Like, people know who he is. And if the Dems can just be normal and get somewhere between a Biden 2020 and a Barack Obama 2008 number of people out, then they're going to be fine. You know, like percentage, not like actual number of voters. I know like more people showed up for Biden, etc. But that percentage of people out, as long as they can, like, enthuse that much of the voter base, doesn't fucking matter. All right, like,
it's done. Yeah.
So that's all. That's literally their, you know, like, that's all Biden had to do. And he was so shitty and so old and so reviled by, like, people having, you know, just lived through 3.5 years of his presidency that, like, he couldn't even do that. And that's Kamala Harris, fresh face. Tim Walz, also fresh face. They now have, like, months to just sit around and do bits, you know? We're the cool, honestly, like, mom and dad that are here to save the world. You know, like, as long as they can do that.
And you know, even, like, hitting some of the stuff that, like, we have to talk about, but like, Kamala Harris should be campaigning, doing presidential shit. Yeah. You know, I think we all know Joe Biden he's just in the back of the White House playing fucking backgammon or whatever. Yeah. You know,
and I think that's what they're doing over the next, like, 10 days or whatever. She's just going to go crazy before the DNC.
Well, yeah, and this is where it's like they're doing campaign stops and everything like that. Yeah. But I mean, she needs to be with the FEMA director in California, or, you know, she needs to be president.
Yes.
In any area that has anything going on. And I mean, like, hey, you got the open, you know, fanfare. But yeah, you know, we are heading into fire and hurricane season.
Yes.
I mean, we're already solidly there, right? And so, and that's, you know, people I think it will just be easier for people to say, hey, can't she be president, when they see her going to all these different places and helping people out.
Start
and that's going to hurt Brandon's
job
feelings.
You're applying for,
Yeah, and that's going to hurt Biden's feelings. But like, fuck, why don't you get out of bed and do your job, sir?
I've seen him once in the past week. Who cares? Like
literally.
Like, I don't disagree. I think that would work out well for her. Also, I would say, I know there's some contention back and forth with Trump and the Fox debate or whatever. I think she's just going to do the ABC debate on her own. I think that's a perfect opportunity for her to sit down and do a town hall. Just sit down, have some regular ass voters in there.
Part of
from
me,
all walks of life, talk to them.
Part
show
of me
them
thinks,
show them out you're presidential.
And that's like with the whole Fox and like ABC thing. I really think they should have said, let's just do 2. Let's do 3.
I don't disagree with that. I think she wants to project strength. You don't respond because he's just throwing a temper tantrum. He's like, no, we need to do it on Fox. And it's like, no, because you let him take that and then he wins. And he's like, I brought her over to Fox. She fucking played it like a fiddle.
Well, like, that's why I'm saying, like, if you, like, it only works if you up the ante, right? Say, hey, I will only accept the Fox one. If you accept the ABC one, we'll do 2.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to take that deal, how about 3? How about we add CBS? Yeah. And that's where, like, him and George Stephanopoulos, I guess there's some type of like lawsuit going. That's like, that's why he's saying he can't. So like, just offer up, okay, hey, we'll do CBS and Fox, right? Agree to that. I do think that you could have actually pushed more, not like you got to show up here, say, no, fine, I'll do your Fox and, we'll toss in a CBS and we'll do News Nation if you want. Like, who cares? Because like, that's where too is that, I mean, I don't know why she wouldn't want to be on the debate stage with Trump.
I know.
I really don't understand why you wouldn't want to just be there.
That's a position of strength for her, Same with Walz. Like, I think he'd eat Vance alive if Vance will actually agree to a debate, man.
If I were Walz, I would be chasing Vance around his campaigns with a shovel.
Did you see the fucking tidbit of the press coming up to JD Vance? And they're like, have you talked to Tim Walz yet? And he's like, yeah, I congratulated him. And I gave him a call and it went to voicemail and I just left him a voicemail and maybe he'll call me back. I don't know. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude, man.
That's not how you call people. That's not like, you don't, what is this? You don't actually, like, people don't actually call each other like that. They arrange the call. What are you talking? You just called him?
Yeah.
What are you, a loser?
Yeah.
You just called him? Who answers the phone nowadays?
Yeah. Incredible.
What is this? What is this?
Left him a voicemail. Yeah. Okay, man. Great.
Name.
I would. Yeah. It would be. It'll be amazing if there's a VP debate between them. And then listen, because you and I both respect professional wrestling, I think. And then walks into the VP debate. Out of nowhere, Bashir comes in, steel chair, pops into the back. You know what I mean? Tim Walz and Bashir tag teaming JD Vance. That would be the best day of Trump's life. He would love that.
Bashir,
like, yes,
and he's staying up in the rafters with the ball pit, with the fucking bat, ready to fucking just comes down.
Is it my birthday? Did Vince do this for me? This is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm down. No, I mean, that's where, like, it is this, like, weird, it is a very, very weird thing, because it was just a few weeks ago. The whole vibe felt so different.
It's crazy.
Then the president got shot. And then Joe Biden stepped down and everything felt better. Like, it was just like,
Trump's ear was the last Horcrux to Joe Biden.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll say, I like where the Tim Walz pick, where I do, it's like going back, like, I do wonder how it's like I'm always going to wonder how, the barnstorming Bashir through the Rust Belt, really could have hit. I think Tim Walz is going to be like a good campaigner either way. And I hope, and like going back to it like, it's hard to fuck this up, Democrats, please. Right. But
it's so easy to just like do this, It's so easy to just be normal
Yeah, and I think, and then
All you do is be normal. Okay?
for people, on the left of our ilk, I think that there's gonna be a real opportunity to make some pushes to get good policy, or at least not good, like better policy on Cuba, better policy on militarism. And this is, I say better because it's like this is a relative term. We've got a whole lot of work to do before we actually rein in empire and deal with the climate crisis and deal with housing and educate. Like all of that's still going to need a whole lot of work. But yeah, in those few weeks, and they switch everything. Now it's just like, okay, hey, I'm not saying, we could push Kamala left, but at the end of the day, if they're taking notes from Obama, hopefully the JCPOA Iran nuclear deal, right? Hopefully that's in their notes.
Yeah. What if we just return to a non-dilapidated idea, at least, of American foreign policy? Is that possible?
I mean, and this is where they pulled out of Afghanistan. Iraq is. I mean, oh my God, Iraq is like a fucking whole other mess. But at the end of the day, there's not necessarily a drone warfare that she gets to expand like Obama did. If this switches over, and they actually start cooling the jets, really hopeful that there at least can be a movement that affects the power structure. But that's if Aidan Ross doesn't deliver the dipshit vote in the millions in certain areas. But
yeah. Also, listen, I'm just, I will say right before we end, I did receive a DM just now. Tim Walz has landed in Philly and did shoot finger guns at the Secret Service. 400 electoral votes right there. How many? All right.
Wow.
It's already, he's a finger gun dad. Come on. That's simple.
Give him what's Biden's dog, that Commander?
Commander, yeah.
Yeah. Give Walz Commander, all right?
He's also got a pity, man. I respect that.
He's got a pig?
Yeah, he's got a pity.
Pig?
He's got a I think it's a pit mix, but he's got a pit.
Oh, a pit.
Yeah,
because I saw him a picture holding a pig.
I've got a soft heart for black pits, man. They are the least adopted from shelters. They are just good little dogs.
Well,
oh wow, he's probably a nice man.
There are going to be some unhinged op-eds written about that pit bull, and
it's gonna be so crazy. Yeah,
I can't wait.
It's gonna be the dumbest oppo. I can't wait for it. It's gonna be fun. What's your silver lining, Marcus? What are you looking forward to? What do we got?
Why Tim Walz wants to murder all children based off his dog ownership. I'm looking forward to that op-ed being written. I'm very excited for it.
Man, that's so crazy. Yeah.
But also, I'm excited for JD. For whenever Walz and JD Vance get in the same room, I think that's going to be absolutely hilarious. Yes. And what I'm saying, that's as of today, that's kind of the first thing that popped in my mind. That's ooh, now this is in the cards.
yeah. It's gonna be interesting. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm just ready for them to be at a campaign event. You know what I mean? And getting off the stage. I'm just envisioning a very specific situation. Stay with me. And Tim Walz going down the stairs and they creak a little bit and he'd be like, whoa there. That's not that safe. Give me anybody got a toolbox? Give me a second, guys. We got to make sure this is safe for the next people. All right. I'm just excited for the Midwest energy that he's going to bring to this dumb fucking campaign. It's going to be incredible. Oh, we never really get Midwesterners out on the presidential stage. And it's such a gift, could have had it with Klobuchar.
Which something we didn't even hit on that we gotta but is Sherrod Brown in Ohio. You know, does a Tim Walz really kind of help him out more than not, especially when it comes to unions, you know? Yeah.
I think this is very, again, what I said before, even if, you know, they leave, they lose, what we're talking about is positivity towards down ballot, right? And I think this is a energizing ticket for down ballot. You know, I think this will work out very well for them. You know, no matter what happens in the swing states overall, I think this, you know, even if, and I don't think, I'm not one of the people that thinks that it was too late to really like stop the bleeding. Honestly, looking at Kamala's polls over the last couple of weeks has been shocking. You know, like they are really flipping around a lot of this extremely poor polling that Biden had, you know, kind of caused for everyone. Yeah, even if they were unable to, man, I think they've got a ticket that'll really put some people at ease.
I think like that's where just, you know, per what the data was saying, just switching Biden with anyone alive was going to have a jump. Yeah. I think picking Walz sustains it. I'm not sure if, you know, we'll have to see, right? We'll see. Yeah. You know, at the very least, it's going to sustain the energy. Does it bump it up? And then what are people able to do with the ticket as a whole? And like, as far as knocking doors and all that stuff, like they got a big pile of cash. They got a bunch of fucking volunteers, you know, and they've got a ticket that can speak full sentences without turning people away because they're just freak shows. I know, like I'm saying, it's like knock on wood though. This is an impossible race to lose now. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I don't disagree. You know, I think this is something that they absolutely have a chance to win. So yeah, we'll see what happens. You know,
I've seen enough. No, like, but they just got to do the right things, right? That's like they just campaign, Yeah, go everywhere.
I don't think Hillary. It's down to the public's against the Democratic Party or anything of the like. I think I don't think Kamala's hit her ceiling. I think Tim Walz is somebody that's going to help with that. You know?
Well, and that's where too, even if they've hit their ceiling, turn out everybody that's bought in right now. Yes. And you're good.
Yep. That's true. Just get the same number of Democrats out that came out before.
It shouldn't be this hard. It really should. It's insane. Our fucking country sucks a lot.
It's gonna be silly time.
Shouldn't be too hard, but
yeah.
All right. Yeah. Kamala chaos.
Next week we'll return. One more recorded show, and then I guess we'll have to figure out something live for the PNC. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we got to start figuring that out.
Yeah, we'll think
live
about
show in Chicago.
Yeah, sick. Until next time, hit the things, follow, bell notification, all that stuff. Bye.